a utility bill where water service is in progress, each charge is itemized, and you would not have the same credit for 7 years.
And
If we go any further, I'd like to make a statement. I need to be abstained from this, as Chewy was an employee during this entire time period, with the exception of the first 2 weeks of that, and I just need to be included in that discussion.
And Councilman Spear, I don't think that abstention would be necessary, unless your judgment would be materially affected by some financial interest or a commitment to another person's interest, and I think you have a duty to vote on that.
Well, I suspect, I'm not sure it's going to go, but in case of litigation, there could be a problem down the road, but that's why I'm going to abstain.
Well, let me ask, do you have any financial interest?
No.
Do you have any commitment to someone else's interest?
Something, nothing.
Then I think we're okay. I think
Okay.
you can vote. All right.
I'd like to ask about, Mary, you have bills from the city there in your possession, don't you?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at.
Absolutely, please.
The first one is a summation.
Mayor Robertson?
yes,
We have a statement from Councilman Carson that he provided to City Attorney Cahoon, and Patty is going to read that into the record.
okay.
I had to take an unexpected trip out of town today, but thought I should give you my thoughts on this item. I spent some time with Marietta on this matter, and the fact is that the city of Ely sent them a credit for this property for many, many years. I know if my bookkeeper receives a credit that they assume that myself or someone in the organization has taken care of the bill. I don't think that the property owner should be let totally off the hook, but I do believe that the city does need to share in the burden of this because of our oversight in the matter. I definitely think that Desi needs to be commended in finding this oversight, and we need to make sure we don't have any more of these issues in the future. Thanks, Kurt.
That's why I suggested we share in the responsibility of this.
I'd like to make a comment there to the council. I'm looking at the bill dated 06/15/2021, and it says $105.70 credit, and then we go in July to $7,949 over. If you're getting, well, I can't understand, if you're getting your credit every month, wouldn't the tenant or the property owner question that?
Well, let me
Why
explain.
they stay the same amount every month?
Well, the problem is, apparently the city, when our previous tenant moved out, set up his account with the primary partner, and the bill went to his house. Since the understanding was that she was going to pay the utilities, when they saw these credits, they presumed that she was going to the city every month and paying the bill. And it says in here, 105.70 credit, past due 0. There was no reason to question it.
I agree with you. That's why it's just strange, very
I
strange.
know, well,
And
it's,
it should be noted too, for the council's benefit, that the city doesn't send out more than one bill per property, just so that you're aware. It doesn't go to a tenant and the property owner, it only goes to either the property owner or the tenant, depending on who's set up the account.
had we ever had a bill where we owed, it would have been addressed immediately. Absolutely. But when you see all these credits, you have, with her paying the rent early every month, and being a reputable person that she is, and she has since moved out, so we have no recourse, the normal presumption is that she's paying it every month. We had no reason to question her.
And just also for the benefit of the council and for the public here as well, this is not a, once again, there are no penalties here. Nobody is seeking retribution or looking to find fault. The staff issued this, utilities were used, but not paid for. And they've offered, as you'll note in the letter here, also a payment plan to do this. And nobody is for lack of a better word, going to go break kneecaps over this, or no one's out for blood or retribution. It's just how do we resolve the issue, so, and that's,
But my
Why
concern
the,
is, how do you let this go for 7 years and not know that this is being paid?
sure. And then, so that's why it's here in front of the council, because aside from staff being able to set up a payment plan, any possible forgiveness or appeal, which is the property's owner right to do, has to come here before the council for an ultimate decision on that.
Mr. Mayor,
Mayor Robertson, just for the record, how was the city to know that rental was occupied?
That's right. Councilman Oliver?
Water use.
I had quite a discussion with the city staff and Marion all at one time. This period of 7 years, it surprised everybody, you know, whatever in the system, an error was made, putting in something that terminated the account. But our new employee, Desiree, she's very good. And I asked the two staff members, if she hadn't caught this, when would it have been caught? It could be 15 years, 30 years, 40 years, it's just one of those things. You know, that this LLC is a big company, they see lots of bills, you see a credit, you really worry about it. You know, that part, I don't know how they do their business. I believe in it, well, there's no doubt about it, an error was made. I think since that time, the city treasurer has got with our billing company, or Des did, to find out what code was put in, and run a report to see if there's any more skeletons in the closet. I think, you know, I have one question for the attorney in that, on that letter Jennifer wrote, and down in number 4, only the original applicant may request termination of water service. What I understand, back in August, the renter came in and said, I'm moving out, whatever, shut my water off. So who is the, in this term here, who is the original applicant? Is that the lady that was living there at the time, or does it go back to the property owner?
I would need more context, I don't know who the applicant was, it could be either of them.
Because, you know, again, you know, I'm not pointing blame, there might be miscommunications. I know the lady that lived there, she lived across the street from me. And then she moved out, and she go to terminate my water. And a clerk, not knowing what terminate meant, and I, again, is it a punch, you know, you hit the T for terminate, or S for shut off, or whatever? That was the question the treasurer was gonna work at. And I think they've had a report, but nothing else is coming out like this. So my question is, this was caught after 7 years, just because, you know, you gotta give Des all the credit. You know, she was employed by that company,
Yes, for 11 years.
you know, for whatever, 11 years. And whether or not she's seen the credit, I don't know, but doing the research, here it is, you know, all of a sudden the credit, and you go back and look at it, oh my goodness, 7 years ago. Does he use the water? Yeah, I live right across the street from there, it's green, and so forth, you know. She lived that, Mary lived there a lot of times, but I just, I feel some of the blame is on the city. I mean, there's legal things, the attorney just put down here, wrote that, that's legal. Just the people make it a mistake, an error. Nobody means to cause any harm in this. And her company's offering a 50-50 split. And, you know, I mean, is that fair? In my opinion, maybe. But I just think the city was billing, we had an error in the billing system. I know you and I talked, Mayor, if somebody finds, not we find a billing error, you're gonna pay for electricity. You know, that's the way it is. Just like the attorney pointed out here. You use your utility, you gotta pay for it. So between a rock and a hard spot on this one. Thank you.
I'd like to add one thing. When Wheeling Partners received this letter, Partner's wife came in and met with Jeanette Trask. May was prorated, June and July were paid, so we're in the third now. So I'm saying, we would have paid this had we known.
Right, and there's no question on that. We understand the intent of the other area. So the property is currently up to date, but I suppose what is the will of the council on this?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to point out one thing too. A few months back, we had a landfill client, stood up there at that podium and openly admitted, I never paid my landfill for 5 years just to see what you guys would do. And so we sent him a dunner, and then it came over, drawn on the carpet on this here. This company, they had a credit for 7 years. Again, you know, they're a big company, chunk change, but now it's built up into a substantial amount.
May I make a comment, Mr. Mayor?
Please.
I want to agree to a certain extent with my fellow council members. When you're dealing with so much and so much paperwork, we do make mistakes. I do find it admirable that she has said, it's your mistake, I don't think we should pay anything, that she's offering to say, let's split this to make it right. I'm sure, not even being here that long, that these ladies over there are very diligent about doing their jobs. But I feel like because it was a mistake and who or how is not important at this point. The point is, it's been found, it likely won't happen again. But with her saying, I would like to make it right and split it with the city, I think that that's admirable, because she could be saying, your mistake, I shouldn't have to do anything about a mistake that was made.
Any other questions of staff or the property owner? Is there a motion the council would like to make on it?
So looking at the agenda item, approval to waive back charges for Water Road 8,035, so I'm trying to figure out the wording to,
The way this was worded was to hopefully allow some liability to the council to waive all part or
okay,
when it says up to, they can.
so whatever the 50/50 is, like $4,017. That would be my motion.
No.
My motion would be to split the bill with the Personal Code LLC, 8,035 divided by 2, whatever that is, $4,017.20 or whatever. $4,017.71. That's my motion.
We have a motion from Councilman Albert. Do we have a second on that one?
I'll second that.
A second from Councilman Spear. Any further discussion on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, 3-1. That's it. Thank you.
very much.
Thank you, Marietta.
We'll move back then to our public hearing on item 7. The mayor will recess the regular city council meeting for a public hearing at 5:30 p.m. on the following topics. Item 1, council member, city clerk Lee, city engineer Alberg, in public hearing, discussion only. Discussion of the following proposed CDBG projects proposed during this item. Bell Avenue Pipeline in the amount of $365,800. The Parker Street Sewer Replacement in the amount of $497,800. Golf Course Well Pipeline in the amount of $545,300. And Campton Street Sidewalk Project in the amount of $470,120. This is a public hearing, so we will take comments from the public and council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, of the 4 projects, the Bell Avenue Pipeline, Parker Street Sewer Replacement should be in the top 2. I live on Parker. I would have a 1, but that's your choice. The county golf course well pipeline is a county responsibility, not the city's. The Campton Street sidewalk project can be done in bits and pieces as you guys get this COVID money or whatever. $470,000 is not conducive as much as the pipeline for Bell or the sewer replacement on Parker. I want to remind you, I've been reimbursed for the problem I took care of on that street. You owe me over $8,000 and I haven't received a check. Also, Mr. Mayor, I want to remind you that I've asked, and I'm asking again, has the golf course paid in full for the 111 million gallons or more of water that was used as reported by Councilman Allworth at one of your earlier board meetings? Again, how much did they pay in late fees? Are they paying at the same rate you have set for other like entities? I want to remind you that the city cannot discriminate in any federally funded or assisted public utility. I want to remind you of the recent meeting that you had and the agreement with the golf course with the county. Article 12 said they must pay all fees and utilities.
George, we want to keep comments to these projects.
And that's why I'm saying the golf course in particular needs to go.
Well, the golf course well pipeline is not pipelines on the golf course,
It
it's
doesn't
city
matter. It
infrastructure.
doesn't matter, that's a county entity.
It's not
It's
talking about
county
the golf course,
responsibility.
George. This is a city infrastructure issue.
It doesn't state that on the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
It doesn't, you're back.
It's
to
misleading.
It's called the golf course well because it's next to the golf
You could have
course.
put it on the roadway, you didn't do that. It's misleading.
Okay.
The open meeting law is specific, you have to be specific on any item that you put on the agenda. You're not doing that. Take your time and look at the open meeting law, sir.
I have a few questions for the engineer, if you have a second. Would the Bell Avenue pipeline project affect or improve water pressure on the top side of Bell Avenue at all? I know this is a pipeline project on South Bell.
No, this is a project on Lower Bell,
Yes.
and so,
North Bell, I'm sorry, yes.
yeah, it's on North
Whatever.
Bell, North Bell, Lower Bell.
Would it improve any of the water pressure issues that residents have on the south end of Bell Avenue?
It surely could, because it's gonna replace, this line is down to a 4-inch in places, 6-inch. It's a very small line, and this would come in to, when we're pumping from our golf course well, or our North Street, or any of our wells on the northeast side of town, it comes down that main line, come in here, and that line we just replaced across Alton Street with this project. And so we've got a big line coming across Alton Street with the NDOT projects going on, and we tie it into a small line with the intention of one day coming and improving it. So yes, I would say it definitely has potential.
And then on the Campton Street sidewalk project, would that entail putting any retaining wall? I would imagine that would include some retaining wall. on that side.
That does have some retaining wall in there because in that plan, it's kind of hard to show a great picture of what that looked like, but that was requested by a citizen that came in last time and he said something about this. So we tried to make a connection from Great Basin Boulevard down to, I think it's 7th Street down over here on this side, tying that sidewalk all together. And so our intention is, as we were heading up Campbell Street towards the terrace from this direction, we would be on the right-hand side adjacent to the hillside. And so yes, there is a retaining wall.
And your cost includes
The retaining wall.
an estimate for that.
Yes. And just to clarify, you were 100% correct, that golf course well is actually in town.
Runs down Avenue C, the pipeline.
It's on Avenue C, yes, and I guess the reason it was attached to the golf course thing was because the intention of this to get water from that golf course well and a main feeder deeper into the community. But it absolutely is not a golf course, it's on Avenue C.
That's why, go ahead.
That's all the questions I have.
It's my opinion, we need to change the name of that cotton picture. We need to change it, anything but that. You know, I mean, it's confusing, and when you go in front of the CDBG group, they're not gonna know the golf course well. It's not on the golf course, folks, that's just how a handle got hung on it. So we need to put some thought to
The Jim Allworth Memorial.
I agree, because we said it earlier today, you know, we had a meeting on a golf course, but it's an irrigation well, not our well, so. There's plenty of reasons to
The
change
George
it.
the
Chatchis.
George Chatchis well.
Shut it off.
Okay, so anyway, that's my only opinion on it. I think these are all good projects.
The,
Just meant to be
And don't go near my well again.
go ahead, Councilman.
The two of these projects, I think we are looking at with our senators, I think that's priority. The Parker Street sewer replacement, that's a disaster. Long time ago. Removing from down the bottom end, coming up, so I think that's very important that stays on top of this. If I'm understanding correctly, we only have two choices out of this board, right?
Correct.
All right, so the Parker Street is part of the project we're looking for the Senate. We got to the appropriations for that. And the second one is that golf course pipeline. Because it's coming up.
Both of them are portions of potentially being funded through the appropriations as well.
That's correct. So I think that, I agree with Jim. Golf course, well, I think we put a number to that thing or something, but I know this is only discussion only at this time, but I really think that those two items,
This,
are the ones that should be top priority for the CDBG this year. How about the LMI on them?
obviously, these are pared down from what we applied for through the thing, because I think we're more than 3 million that we applied for through the
3, 2,
appropriations.
and 3, 8 or something.
3.2, one's 3, one's 3.1, or 3.2. And so those are definitely pared down, so this is kind of like a small phase of what we are trying to accomplish.
It wouldn't hurt to get these, it wouldn't hurt an appropriation.
It would hurt, I wouldn't think this would hurt, I think we would just, if we still got our appropriations, we would just do an additional 2 blocks or something.
Yeah. I don't think it's very either.
Do these all qualify for the LMI or CDBG?
We'll need to have surveys
Yes.
done by Matador Water. This hearing is to determine what the consensus of the council is. So when I contact them,
Correct.
we're not asking them to do first surveys.
Because we have to clear, we don't currently have an LI area.
I mean, is the LMI gonna be around these specific projects, and if we pick one and it turns out that it doesn't ask for LMI, do we have to go back and do another, or is the LMI area all of the city?
The LMI area is in the area, project area.
Do we have a feeling which one of these would most likely qualify for that, if we had to make a wild guess?
The top 3 is potentially, I would
Okay.
say. My gut feeling is the top 3 recommendations.
That's all I have.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
And we vote on these next.
The end of September.
End of September. Thank you. Is there any other comment, questions? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. We'll move back to item 9, items for discussion and possible action only of the Ely City Council. The consent agenda, we have minutes from July 8th and bills from July 16th, July 22nd, and July 29th.
At this time, I'd like to make the word that I'll be abstaining from the July 16th, 2021 bill pay that's due being paid on that one.
We'll take these individually then so that Councilman Spear has an opportunity to vote them. So do I have a motion for the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion from Councilman Spear, second from Councilman Allworth for the minutes. All in favor of approval of the minutes from July 8th?
All right?
Any opposed? Minutes pass. We'll move on to the bills. Do we have a motion for approval of the bills for July 16th? Motion from Councilwoman Williams Harper. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Councilman Allworth. All in favor of approval of the bills for July 16th?
All right. Hope I can abstain.
3 ayes, 1 abstention. And then, do I have a motion for the approval of the bills for July 22nd and July 29th?
So moved.
Motion from Councilman Allworth. Do I have a second?
This time I'll second.
Councilman Spear seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor of approval of the 22nd, 29th bills?
All right?
Any opposed? Thank you. Be old business, Councilman Carson, City Attorney Cahoon, discussion for possible action, review of the City Attorney Cahoon's research of disposal options for junk vehicles without title, which are confiscated by the City of Ely, and possible determination of city's process in this regard.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll begin with my conclusion in saying that I think we need to just begin the process, start with one vehicle, and take it on a case-by-case basis. We have a few options. At my last report, I indicated that bonded titles might be a good idea. However, I called the DMV again, and this time they told me something that they didn't tell me the first time, which was that the bond is 1.5 times the amount of the vehicle when it was new, not in its current condition, which would cost the city significantly more to obtain a bond in that. But our other options are to obtain a duplicate title, and that would be the vehicle owner would have to do that, or the property owner if that property owner was the last known, or the owner of the title, but just doesn't have the title, then that individual can, apply for a duplicate title. The next option would be to seek to obtain junk certificates or salvage titles. And the process that we have to be able to obtain those is to have a towing company in town tow the vehicles. After 15 days, if no one claims the vehicle, then the towing company can apply for the certificate or title if it is appraised in less than $500. And so the person who does those appraisals are from Elko, an individual at the DMV up there. Periodically will drive down and do appraisals on vehicles. So if that's appraised under $500, then the towing company can obtain those titles, and then we'd be able to give it to the junkyard, and they can take it at that time. If it's appraised over $500, I think the only difference would be that it would cost more to obtain those certificates or titles, and there's an additional 30 days that is given to people to make any claim on that vehicle. The final option, and kind of a last resort, would be that the city, if it has the means to do so, just dismantle the vehicle themselves. Of course, if we went that route, we would want to exhaust all of our efforts to notify any previous owners and give as much due process as we possibly can to avoid any type of liability. So City Clerk Lee assisted me in submitting an application to set up an account with the DMV to make, and this account basically allows us to make unlimited requests for title searches and history reports on these vehicles with a VIN number. And so that account will be set up soon, and I think if we just begin with perhaps the easiest case, or whatever we would determine would be the easiest vehicle to abate and go through this process, I think we should just start small, start with the easiest case, and determine as we go along what option would be the best in that circumstance. And so I think we really need to just take it on a case-by-case basis.
If we go for the junk deal, who's going to be responsible for paying for those, the appraisal and the title? Would that be the towing company have to pay for them?
So I spoke to, I believe it was Sam at Battleborn Restoration. It's my understanding there's 2 other towing companies in town. I have not spoken to them yet. But he indicated that we would obviously need to, the city would need to either pay for that if he's willing to do that, or what the city could do is pass that on to the property owner as part of the abatement.
If the car vehicle owner owns the property, how about the towing fees? Who's liable?
Again, it would be the city, because we're enacting, we're engaging in that, and then obviously we could try to seek those fees through the abatement process on the property.
It would be the same process as if we send someone to clean up the property or demolish a building or haul something off, and then that's part of what we are presenting the property owner with. Hey, you didn't abate your property, we did, here's the bill.
Exactly. It'd be just like any other abatement. Okay. The fees that are incurred by the city in cleaning up the property. Okay.
Yeah, one question probably for the treasurer. If we're towing them, would the landfill be able to afford the tow bill? Since again, they end up in the landfill, the tow truck driver sends the bill and the landfill pays it. Because once they turn around and get in the junk pile, then we'll make money on scrapping out.
We can't put them in the landfill without a title bill.
Well, that's the last resort. I mean, after they tow it, they tow it, they charge us $50, the landfill pays it, and if it ends up in the landfill, we'll recover that on the sale of the scrap.
The landfill obviously can afford it with it in the general fund. I'm just not sure. Thank you. I'm just not sure. If they can't sell it or they don't, as long as he's getting the revenue for it, if they do sell it for scrap, then yeah, it's proper to let them incur the expense. I'm just having, I haven't had enough time to process, because the abatement stuff normally goes through the general fund. So I hadn't given it any thought about